Ahead on Q2, winter walloping Billings and beyond. The snow is falling and dangerously cold temperatures are on the way. But is a snow day in SD2's future?
It's dangerous to drive in this, and I know my kid's going to complain as soon as I get her.
That answer may depend on who you ask.
A day like today is a safe day for most people.
Plus a President's Day protest.
There's like 100 people out here in -0 conditions because they're here for what they believe in.
Dozens of protesters braved the snow in Billings, including one woman who's now without a job after federal layoffs. The MTN 530 news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Well, good evening and thanks for starting your week with us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Winter pummeling Billings yet again. The snow is still coming down, and brace yourselves because there is more to come. That fresh powder and the bitterly cold temperatures may have students in School District 2 dreaming of another snow day. But as our Charlie Kleps explains, that's not likely to happen this time around.
There certainly hasn't been a shortage of snowfall in Billings the past 2 weeks, but on Monday, schools like Broadwater Elementary behind me remained open, and there's a lot of reasons why. Despite what's felt like constant snowfall since Sunday morning,
It's dangerous to drive in this.
all Billings schools remained open Monday to the dismay of some,
I would much rather add an additional day at the end of the year than have to deal with this.
and to the pleasure of others.
When they're supposed to be in school and then you have them all day, it kind of gets hectic.
We live in Montana, so it's always kind of planning for having to make do with weather.
Julie Zeiler is among those who understand that having our vehicles completely covered in snow doesn't mean school will be canceled.
It's nice when we can have a snow day, but if it doesn't work out, we have to figure out how we get by.
And canceling school isn't a decision School District 2 takes lightly.
How is this day, a potential day, a snow day, different than a typical Montana day?
That's the number one question for Superintendent Erwin Garcia, who works with the National Weather Service when making the final call.
And I have this chart actually for this week. This orange means this is moderate weather.
That chart's determination is based on a number of factors: temperature, precipitation, road conditions, and wind chill, to name a few.
When we make decisions for the school, we're thinking about the 16,500 students and about 80% of them that will be able to safely go to the school.
Garcia says the call is ideally made at 9 p.m. the night before to give families the opportunity to plan, but admits that isn't always the case.
We want to make sure that your child is safe, number one, but at the same time, we want to maintain our commitment to educate, inspire, and empower our students.
And that's why Garcia says school should be on all week this week unless something drastically changes.
People are going to have opinions no matter what, so it comes down to safety.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Well, school zones will be a big focus of city plow crews overnight, with School District 2 planning to hold classes tomorrow. The city hopes to tackle these areas when there aren't so many cars on the streets, but acknowledge that they've got their hands full. Up to this point, most of the focus for plow crews today has been the main arteries through the city. Residential plowing also started yet again late this afternoon in Zone 4. That's primarily the south side of town. Crews will then move to Zones 5 and 6, downtown and the Heights, before tackling Zones 1 through 3 on the west end. Travel on the interstate proving to be even more treacherous at this hour, with every major highway being listed as slick with scattered snow and ice. With the very latest on these conditions and what else we can expect, here's Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
Big thank you to Justin McKenzie right here from our Q2 family that was out braving the elements to grab some of these shots here today as the snow, that powdery snow, well, that 20-mile-an-hour speed limit looked like a good idea here this afternoon, as through the morning especially, we saw some snow that was really affecting visibility, and then again tonight we'll see more. Now here's a live shot with the Stockman Bank weather cam. You see traffic starting to pick up a bit, but still some travel concerns across the region. Temperatures today -1 was the warmest all day long. We picked up another 4 inches of snow, so we're right up to about 28 inches of snow so far for just the month of February. That's 0.28 of an inch of precipitation. But as we start getting into the next few days, while we're dealing with more snow here in the short term, we're going to see very cold temperatures, especially through Wednesday morning, and that warm up is going to start to melt some snow. Details on the forecast coming up.
Billings police have identified a DoorDash delivery driver who was fired this weekend after he allegedly got into a confrontation with a homeowner in the Heights. 26-year-old Jason Snow is charged with disorderly conduct. As we first reported yesterday, that incident occurred Thursday night when the homeowner, Star Mason, claims she was attacked by Snow following an argument over a tip. Billings police say Snow was not charged with assault because their investigation determined Mason was never attacked. Officers also say they did not witness any physical injuries, despite Star's claim that she spent several hours in the hospital that night. Well, regardless, as we reported Sunday, DoorDash fired Snow, calling the incident, quote, utterly sickening. Well, the man charged with hitting a school bus Thursday afternoon with 2 children aboard has been identified as 40-year-old Gregory Biggs. Biggs, who's from Billings, was driving on Yellowstone River Road off of Bench Boulevard in the Heights when he collided with that bus. He was found to be under the influence at the time of that accident and has been charged with 2 counts of criminal endangerment along with DUI. No one, including the children, was injured in the accident. Widespread government layoffs are underway and thousands of probationary employees are being fired. That includes many workers right here in Billings. Today, some of those now former employees braved the cold for a Not My President's Day protest. As our Isabel Sparts reports, the movement began as a way to push back against President Donald Trump's executive orders, but others are celebrating, claiming many of those were long overdue.
On Monday, dozens of protesters braved the cold outside City Hall.
There's like 100 people out here in -0 conditions.
All to send a message, not about the weather, but about something that's left many heated.
It's a protest of how our country is being run and by whom right now.
The display organized by United Billings was a part of a national Not My President's Day movement, with events held in all 50 states to protest policies that President Donald Trump and the newly created Department of Government Efficiency have enacted.
Montanans aren't going to sit and be quiet while our country is sold to corporate oligarchs and taken over by felons.
Last week, the Trump administration began a mass firing of probationary employees, a part of Elon Musk's cuts to government spending within the federal workforce.
Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse.
If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back.
Those cuts are being celebrated by many who feel government spending is out of control, but it's a move that also has many frustrated.
On Friday, I was fired. Then we had to sign a paper saying that our performance was poor, which was not true.
Mary Broach worked as an administrative assistant for the Bureau of Reclamation in Billings for several months before she and several others were blindsided by Friday's terminations.
In the past, Trump had supported our mission and actually increased funding in his first term, so it was just shocking.
Broach worries that many might not realize the impact these cuts could have.
What I am seeing is that they're not non-critical employees. They are people that were doing very important work for the safety of the public.
We're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present.
Common sense controls according to some, reckless cuts according to others. Regardless, this group just wants their voices to be heard.
It doesn't do any good if you're just sitting at home behind your computer screens. The only way people are going to see what's happening is if they actually see you out there doing it.
This is the fight. As long as we can be peaceful, this is what we have to do.
In Billings, Isabel Sparts, MTN News.
A Wyoming woman is in the hospital tonight after being diagnosed with the state's first human case of the bird flu. According to the Wyoming Department of Health, the Platte County woman is hospitalized in another state and has health conditions that make her more vulnerable to the illness. It's believed that she was exposed to the virus through direct contact with an infected poultry flock at her house. She's the third confirmed hospitalization related to to the avian influenza in the United States. Well, the Department of Health says while the current public health risk is low, there are some steps to take to protect yourself. Those include not eating uncooked or undercooked food, avoid direct contact with wild birds, avoid contact with wild or domestic birds that appear ill or have died. They also say not to touch cattle that may have been infected and to not drink raw milk.